I felt the same way like Black versus Miracle in this last one wasn't just the series before that, that just Black seems to crumble the minute they're against another Korean team, at least mentality-wise, their play seems to deteriorate. And for Miracle, it's like, well, in the past, you've never shown that you've gained so much by having that trust in Black that you can suddenly, you know, evolve into like, here is our moment, here is our cheese, here is our answer to Ballistix. But
and even if they have one answer, they need 2 more after this game, and that's why it's such a tough place to be in mentally. When you are MVP.Miracle here, you're against the ropes, and it's tough to battle back, but if you're going to, this is where you start, the draft phase.
The draft phase. So now, Ballistix, I do expect to see a first pick Tyrael, I think, from either, maybe, Ballistix doesn't show that trend. They historically would be more of, you know, your Vala or your Tassadar. But I like Tyrael even more on this map, I think, than some of the other ones. Illidan is going to be the ban. Do you ban Vala or Tas? If you are Miracle right now.
Do you ban Vala or Tassadar?
You kind of hurt yourself if you intend to go some of those more unique strategies later.
Yeah, I feel like banning Tassadar might be a mistake for Miracle. It feels like they were the ones who really felt off balance in the last draft, where Tassadar wasn't in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think for them, it might be better to just not throwaway ban, but ban something you don't see being picked in Ballistix first pick or your next 2 picks, so that you don't mess with the synergies you could get.
Yeah.
Like if you ban an ETC or Malfurion, yeah, they're excellent heroes, but we saw that really high prioritization early in the tournament, and now teams have really moved past that to more synergy-based styles. And if you let Ballistix have Tyrael, for example, do you get Vala Tassadar, or do you let them have Zeratul in exchange for Vala Tassadar or Vala Tyrael? That sort of thing. Is where I'm really thinking Miracle has to go with this draft.
No, I think I agree with you that the 1-2 of their rotation is something that they're heavily considering now, even going into their time pool. I don't know if even I like the Malfi ETC. They ban out the Vala, the Malfi ETC, just because I think it draws a ban from Ballistix in the second ban phase. I mean, that's looking very ahead in the draft, but these players, I mean, they have to have that thought process here if they manage to make it to the grand finals of the tournament. But now Ballistix will get the choice. It'll be not surprising to see Tassadar in the sense of the diversity and the open-endedness that it leaves your comp, but a little surprising considering it's Battlefield and double support doesn't always thrive. It puts you into, I love it. Ballistix getting the first pick here. I mean, I said it before. I think that is an insanely powerful pick here on this map.
Okay, now Miracle doesn't have the Vala as an option to retaliate with the Vala Tassadar, which is the one synergy I think is actually strong enough to justify Tassadar here, other than maybe Tracer. But either way, I think if they're not doing Tassadar and planning to Tracer, they need to be picking Zeratul in this rotation.
You think? Even on BOE?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? What do you like about Zeratul
I feel like the only thing we've seen really succeed in terms of changing the scope of team fights in these matchups is Void Prison, that rivals Sanctification, that is.
Okay.
So you have Sanctification for Ballistix. Tyrael, of course, is an insane hero. And it feels like every time Tyrael and Zeratul are on the same team, that team wins the game. Especially if it's a Korean team. Their coordination with the heroics is too powerful. You need something to be able to buy time, to reset the fight, avoid the Sanctification power, and I feel like Void Prison is the only thing strong enough to do that. Alternatively, you could look for something like Falstad with Gust, but that's not nearly as impactful in my opinion.
I agree. I think Falstad does gain a little bit more value than we saw in the last match, just because his W in the single target DPS is really, really high. Malfurion is the first choice here for Miracle. And so, what is this pairing going to be? ETC is maybe an option, just it's a kind of old meta, if you will, if you consider how this meta in this tournament has developed.
1 week ago's old meta.
But objectively, he is one of the better warriors, just in the sense that you can knock into the stun of the actual map objective, but then more than anything, your passive will give everybody auto attack damage, or auto attack speed to be able to win your race a little bit more convincingly. And the Thrall lock-in is here for Miracle.
Thrall is a hero that I do like. I think he's very powerful.
I agree.
But I'm concerned about picking him with Malfurion healer. It seems like The only, like, we see Thrall succeed when the team fight is a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And picking him with Malfurion healer, slow heals, I feel like he's liable to get bursted down.
Don't you just task Tracer? Like,
your options as Ballistic, Task Tracer is an excellent choice.
Like,
there's also like Zeratul Li Ming, which would be
I
insane.
agree. I agree that the two would be insane, and I think Li Ming is really high value, and we see it locked in. I think Li Ming is huge on this map. But you're just talking about the vulnerability of being bursted down, and with Tyrael,
Yeah.
you know, we saw teams like Zero just put on a clinic of how to use that strategy. The zone back to the race, zone back to the race. But with the Li Ming picked up, I agree. I think Zeratul would be my next go-to. Or at least a ban on it. Tarzim. All right, so I like that. I like that. It helps with your race a lot. I do think that you should be looking to ban out the Zeratul, though. Or these teams just don't value it at all.
Because now that they have Malf Thrall, can they even afford a Zeratul on their composition? Like, then you're double melee assassin, you still don't have a warrior. Like, it gets pretty awkward.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe by picking the melee assassin so early in their draft, Miracle has kind of made a situation where now Ballistix doesn't have to prioritize Zeratul as highly. Miracle can ban it, but then it's forcing out a ban from Miracle. And Ballistix can then target something else with their ban.
I mean, I'd be looking at ranged, I guess, is that at this point, if I'm Miracle, what range do I want the most? And what do I want them to have the least? They do ban out the Zeratul. Afraid of this, like, the dive, you know, win harder comp that is Tyrael, Li Ming, Zeratul, Tarzim. That is a terrifying thing. But, I mean, I list all 4 of those, but 3 of them already exist in the hands of Ballistix right now. Their race potential is really, really high with Iron Fist, Tarzim, and Li Ming.
I feel like Ballistix is going to be looking for a lead CC and more follow-up damage. Potentially Zeratul for that follow-up damage, potentially a range. But if you're picking those 2 roles, then what you want to ban away from Miracle is probably a range damage, because you don't need one. As Ballistix, you don't need a sustained range damage anymore. You already have Li Ming. So if you ban out the Falstad or the Tychus, whichever one you feel is more difficult to play against, you essentially don't lose anything on your side of the draft and restrict their choices. It's just a matter of which is more impactful for Miracle. I would lean towards the Falstad ban.
Yeah.
maybe just look at Sniper's hero pool
Yeah,
and try
I think
to get rid of that.
Okay, so it's hitting Sniper's hero pool. It's complementing this map specifically, and it doesn't force your Tyrael to have like a little bit too overzealous sinks to avoid getting gusted and having like a beautiful engage suddenly become a sad, disappointing disengage. Is the only reason I lean towards that Falstad ban on the side of Ballistix. But really, they're too obviously putting a lot of thought into this, as they're almost going to be matching Miracle's time pool.
Both of these teams realize how important this game is and how important this draft is. So it's no surprise to see them digging into their time pool here, really going into the tank, opting for the Tychus ban instead of the Falstad.
So they get rid of it. What about Hammer? That is something we haven't thought much of. That I think that is a reasonable option for Ballistix, but I don't know if I feel like comfortable with Miracle picking it up.
I think Hammer could be really good for Miracle. Thrall already punishes Ballistix for trying to engage onto the Hammer with Earthquake, potentially. Malfurion denies hard engage with Twilight Dream as well.
Ready to roll
but
out.
I think I agree with you in terms of overall, it feels a little bit risky because Ballistix can pretty much just race with the Karazim, assuming he goes Iron Fist, plus Li Ming. That's so much immortal damage. Yeah, Sergeant Hammer is good at immortal killing, but she's not like insane.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a curious pickup here for Miracle. I think they need something other than Malfurion to be able to aid her in the early parts of these games with the amount of dive and just raw harass that Ballistix postures until Miracle hits that 16 threshold. Newsflash, you shouldn't be banking on 16 talent tier if you're playing Battlefield of Eternity. And because of that situation, does Ballistix pick up the Sylph? They already have a pretty heavy win harder comp. I'm usually one of the biggest please don't pick Sylph people, but this is one of the few that I actually think I like it. If they end up picking up one more very aggressive, reasonable race heroes, a task doesn't seem like that's
Is it going to be a Tracer?
It is. That's a Trace.
It feels like Tracer's
I think
most
it's
likely.
100% of that point.
And there are 3 targets on Miracle's team who are very easy pickings. Even Malfurion before 10 is an easy target for that Tracer with just a little bit of extra damage.
I'm actually amazed that we even waited this long on this pick. I think with how fast that Tassadar came in, I thought it was instant Tracer. There it is.
Ballistix was probably just
man.
considering whether they wanted to really swag on Miracle with the variant
it's
or
like,
something.
It's like, do we want to win this game in, like, you know, 13 minutes? Like, are we looking at that 9 mark? It just, Miracle's trying. That's all I can say. You can see the thoughts and then the process of kind of coming into play here.
It's so difficult for Miracle when none of the decisions they make are wrong. It feels like they're all reasonable. I don't know about this one, though. Is this going to be the taunt solo tank Varian? Is this the answer to Tracer? Is this the secret? Get her to auto attack, chase you while moving while that taunt's on?
I don't think so. I'm going to say no. But again, Varian with how new he is and how little we've been able to see him, it's kind of hard to gauge that. But I don't look at that and go, like the MVP Black version, I looked at it and go, this makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
that could work.
You know, it's like done the math, like, no, this could be a thing. Whereas with this one, I just see Varian dying a lot.
Yeah.
And if he's not, he's alive and everybody is behind him. And like, meaning everybody on the side of Ballistix is behind him, and his whole team's dead. Like, you just ignore him, or you get he seems too vulnerable.
I feel like pre-10, he's such a liability.
Yeah.
And since so much of Battlefield of Eternity
And with the
is
Tracer
pre-10,
comp, you've committed to the pre-10. Like,
Yeah.
that is where you're going to see Ballistix thrive.
I wonder if he'll go the parry upgrade on 4 and just negate the Tracer Pulse Bomb and all the kill potential, because it's essentially a self-cast Medivh shield. And you can chain 2 of them back to back. So there's the potential that you pick up the parry and you block, and then
But then
they
you have
waste their kill potential.
but then you sacrifice your
no
point and click on the Tracer.
Peel, yeah.
So is it worth?
Probably
I don't
not.
think so. Probably not. I don't know. Either way, you know, there's some adjustments at least. That, you know, definitely Miracle is trying to pull out anything and everything they can to be able to come back in the series, but they're one game away from giving Ballistix the championship. But we do have Game 3 here on Battlefield of Eternity, so let's get to it.
The Gold Club World Championship Grand Finals is well underway. We have a 2-0 lead here for Team Ballistix from South Korea. And it's going to be SCSC on Tracer, Jungha on Tassadar, Noblesse on Tyrael, Nacho Chin on Liming, and Swoy on Kara Team.
All right, their opponents on their last lives here in this Grand Finals. It's Darvish on Malfurion, Reset on Thrall, Crazy Moving on Hammer, Sniper on Falstad, and Tist bringing up the Varian.
And Varian is the newest character in Heroes of the Storm who is already playable at this tournament. We haven't seen a whole lot of Varian yet, and we're all wondering, what is he going to pick at level 10? As the second hero with 3 choices at level 10, Varian can go for 3 distinct different playstyle, even as the action picks up here. And we have a 5-man at the top, even as Miracle will try to come back into this damage trade here and send 4 people to the bottom and go for the tower as well, but they're not as fast.
Yeah, they're not as fast. They do have Sergeant Hammer, but the damage has absolutely been done up here in the top lane. They're going to knock this wave down. They could even go for this healing well, and they absolutely will.
I think they're going further than that, Wolf. Generally, when this happens, there's not enough time to rotate. Both teams will go for the fort, and we're getting an early inkling here of which team has the better Immortal trait. And actually, it's very clear that that is Ballistix, because the single target damage is very far ahead here for Ballistix. They get the fort, they will kill the wave, they'll kill the tower most likely, and then rotate down to potentially save their own fort here. They leave the tower, so they want to be faster.
And
Jongahar here is providing the shield defenses.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about this solo Tassadar here is he could literally shield the structures on top of everything else you just mentioned.
Wait, Wolf, Li Ming took Astral Presence.
Oh man, it's old school. This is something we used to see
weird.
back in the old days. This talent was nerfed. It was originally up to 50%. You would actually have, if you went below 50%, you'd get massive mana regen buff.
You
But now
get
it's
double
much
mana
lower.
regen when you're at a quarter or less. But generally speaking, you Hearthstone at that period. So it's very much a trading talent. But the weird thing is, Ether Walker is just better. You get the 3-second cooldown on your blink, and it's free. It does more for you in more cases. So a bit weird talent there by Nacho Chin. Not the usual Li Ming player. Usually it's SCSE, but he's the one on Tracer here, and that's why I think we see a funky talent like that. Now, back on Varian, he can go 3 different choices here. He can go for Taunt, which makes him a tank with more lockdown. He can go for Twin Blades with more damage and trading on the Immortal, or he can go for Colossus Smash. He'll be a glass cannon, but he can delete someone. Absolutely.
Close call there. Sorry, I had to do my play-by-play ooh there. Sorry, go on.
And these are the 3 choices that he has. Now, Taunt is great against Tracer because you get that stun at level 4 into a Taunt. That's a 2.25 second lockdown potentially, and it becomes harder to kill. Colossus Smash would be leading into the massive burst, whereas Twin Blades will kill the Immortals and give the self-sustain. Oh wow, it's the Arcane Orb build here for Li Ming. So it's full poke. Even when he drops to low mana, he wants to just do his damage from afar. And that is a bit of an anti-Sergeant Hammer talent there.
Yeah, Swade does get caught here just briefly, but of course with his ability to Radiant Dash away, it's not a big issue. This build you talk about is actually something we see specifically on this map in Korea a lot, with the exception of Astral Presence. That you don't really see very often, but the Orb build is important. Okay, Roots here after the stun, so with Eldruin's Double Edge should be fine. In fact, doesn't even have to use that Eldruin's. He'll continue to chase here. Mind's actually dismounting him temporarily. Ballistix massively in control of the Immortals, as you mentioned, for the same reasons they controlled that trade at level 1 on the forts. An invade here attempt by Miracle. Can't fight without Twin Blades to race, I should say. Soy up on the front lines here, and they will control this zone, but all the poke on the side of Ballistix will eventually just chunk this Immortal down, and there's nothing that Miracle can do to stop it.
I like the level 1 talent choice here for Varian. I believe High King's Quest is a little bit overvalued. He's going for the extra slow and damage on his Q, getting a nice few quest procs there. The Immortal trade will, of course, be won here by Ballistix. They're going ham here. Tracer getting a lot of damage in, but nearly SCSE dies.
SC is super low here. One more auto, but the shield comes down. He does not have recall. He blinks away. Tassadar goes down meanwhile, but Tracer will survive here, and this is about 55–60% shield Immortal.
Now, of course, Miracle, by their aggressive push, has pushed Ballistix away from empowering this Immortal, but they're pretty low. Tracer could be looking to insta-gift crazy moving here. There is a parting gift from Tracer, which is a much better early game talent than, for instance, Untouchable, where you get bonus auto tech damage for every takedown you get. Expected result here, Wolf. Generally, first Immortal will get just about a wall.
Yeah. And later on, if we see, I mean, there's actually really 2 schools of thought here when it comes to Varian. One is the taunt to deal with, obviously, the Tracer. If you can get into range for the stun, go for that taunt. Tracer is basically dead no matter what. The other school of thought is going for the attack speed, where you're going to be able to win.
Fury.
You win the Immortal trade, but before that, it's difficult to do so, especially with Mage Falstad here on the side of Miracle. Because he's not going to have that scaling with his auto attacks. So he's the one who kind of solos when they're invading. So we'll see if, as we get to 10, Miracle can turn this around, but structurally they're very behind right now.
I think it will be an indicator what Varian gets at level 7. Probably second wind. You always take that if you go for the Twin Blades of Fury. If it's not second wind, if it's something like Victory Rush, oh, it's the parry talent. Now I'm almost certain that he's going for Colossus Smash or Taunt. This one will increase the amount of time that you have your parry available, 2 seconds instead of 1.5. And there is a cooldown reduction element as well. So I'm almost, yeah, I don't think it's going to be Twin Blades. He is the solo warrior. He's going to play the Taunt build, I think.
Well, that's going to make him very, very tanky. And don't forget, something that we talked about is this is the only multi-class hero in the game currently. Tist is the tank player for Miracles. That also does lead towards this path of Taunt to get the larger HP pool to build into the warrior of the multi-class. So I think everything you're saying does lead down that path. Now, at the top, we do see Sniper scouts out this Impaler attempt here by Ballistix. Big rotation up by Miracle.
Things
I think
are coming
Ballistix has
to a head.
lead.
It's a 5 versus 5. Sniper actually occupies the point. Darvish now jumps on it. Huge misstep there. Malfurion not the tank here. And I don't think Ballistix lets him get away with a gross overstepping here by Miracle. The two squishiest heroes, Sniper and Malfurion, stepping on a point that basically doesn't have that high value.
And everything else we were talking about too, when it comes to the composition and the taunt, without level 10, Varian is still just a neutral multi-class here. He doesn't have the health pool that other tanks have, and he wasn't even in position. Malfurion is never who you want to take that. And it's just a slightly too slow rotation, and Miracle needs to just let it go when that happens instead of committing to losing 2, because it's just not worth it. All right, already another lost Immortal here. It looks like for Miracle they're forced to again invade. There's the stun onto Noblesse, the slow follow-up as well. And Ballistix is just going to regroup and come back.
Sniper actually flew away. He felt his team was in trouble. He stopped skilling the Impalers at the top. Actually, really painful here for Miracle, as his presence was not immediately required. Nice damage here by Miracle on the Immortal, but the trap is being sprung here by Ballistix. They're starting to wrap around and get a nice concave here on Miracle. Of course, Varian needs level 10 to be a proper tank. Thrall is as much of a tank as Varian, truly, pre-level 10.
A reset over here, does get jumped on, gets the Wolf off, but he's very, very low, doesn't have enough heals. Pulse Bomb connects, down he goes! And this Tracer play we're seeing here is on point by SC, now onto Crazy Moving. He's totally isolated, down he goes. Varian's dead as well. This looks like a wipe, full wipe, 5 dead, and that is level 10s for Ballistix. And they are going to win this Immortal with 80% shields. No way I see Miracle taking this game any longer. It's going to take a miracle, quite literally, Grubby, for them to come back here. Let's watch this fight again.
Complete mayhem and chaos in the ranks here of Team Miracle. I mean, Ballistix's aim here with the Pulse Bomb is just unreal. I thought that Thrall already got away. Thrall getting caught there kind of compounds the problems here for Miracle with this 5-man team wipe. And it's level 10 soon for Miracle, but we could be close to the end here.
Look at that. Okay, that one ping we just saw is actually critical. This shows a disarray of communications in Miracle. If Tist is pinging, I want the team down here to defend, whereas the rest of the team is pushing top, it means that members disagree on what the actual correct choice is right here. 3 top, 2 bottom. They're going to try to defend this as well as they can. Shield's halfway dead now, but it's still doing ranged attacks right now. We do see that Hearth home now. 5 here to defend. Level 10 on the horizon for Miracle, but they don't have it yet. This keep under attack here. Big stun going down onto Noblesse. He's actually taking a lot of cannon tower damage. Crazy Moving! The first aid, not enough to heal him. And this is going to be 1 dead hero down. A 5th of their members removed. And now the keep is dead. That Immortal's still at full health.
Tist finally picks up Taunt, but the game is almost lost already. Tist, how is he going to use it? Sundering comes out. More firepower was needed here than Earthquake could possibly come up with. But the Twilight Dream is staggered. Everything is
Sniper
staggered.
is isolated here alone, doesn't even move and dies. His Gust was countered by that Sanctification. Looks like Ballistix going to try to end the game now. Tist goes down, resets galore here for SC. The core under attack, they even go Mule to try to repair it, but it's not going to be enough. Ballistix will just target it down. There's no way there's enough damage. Ballistix will win it. They are your Gold Club